Some of the things are going over here tonight. ALGOBOX plus the retail run had a great one here on that today. Optimizations, how the optimizations work with us. What time of day is best for the trading setups? Is it worth trading after hours? 90-90-90 rule, and how would I take larger trades using the tools? Let me change some of this jam right here and let's get into some things, shall we? We shall. Let's do this. Came out of a tough morning this morning. Pulling up, did hit our 4K target. Some beautiful setups here in the afternoon. Won't go into a ton of these, but we do want to use some of these as an example, particularly on the retail run here today. Good trade day. It was it's a tough one. I told you guys yesterday as well as today, when the market gets way up here in kind of the nosebleed section, it gets a little bit tough. We're coming up here into the very top here. Beautiful red dot to show that turn there at the end of the day. Helped out as well, along with some of our double up 2 fingers all the way through the golden ropes. And of course, we were talking about trying to reach that high of day after the trap did come in here down below. The other thing to look for here, when we looked over here, we had this area here that literally got completely blown through. So when we revisited it back into this area, good sign that if that didn't hold the first time, this is a great spot for folks to get trapped, because again, this was that long and strong area. Looks like we're going to break back down into it. Gets a lot of people faked out. We're right in the middle of the golden ropes here. Double up 2 finger into that area. Great ride to the north. We're going to show you guys some of our favorites. The absolute favorite trade of the day for me, although it's kind of debatable, because I found a great retail room out there. Somebody doing trade calls that is a complete retailer, and they're trying to scam people. It's going to be a great room for us to ride the other side of their trades today. They literally made a call, 2 of them, in their trade room, and I saw those. I waited for our signal to fire in the opposite direction, and it was an easy trade for us. And we'll talk about retail run and how we do that here today. If I was starting all over and I had to go into a single screen, what would I set up still using our tools and our setup, making sure that you can see our multiple time frames? Again, without multiple time frames, you're not doing yourself any good to be trading. Okay, this comes out of the book by Alexander Elder, the triple screen setup. And again, it's Tide, Wave, and Ripple, not to be confused with Ripple Coin. Some people have asked that too, so I'm going to talk about that as I get into a single screen setup. But yes, in the future, maybe you expand out and you get a little bigger. In fact, I just joked the other day, I saw Tom Dante finally got himself a nice 6 screen setup. He took some screenshots. He's got his camera set up behind him. Great trade day. Let's put this away though. Well, first, before I get into a blank screen setup, I want you guys, I'm going to answer this question here tonight too. Can you use our stuff on stocks? Yes, the answer is yes. Again, when I started out early in my career, I traded stocks. Okay, I've pretty much traded everything. If it's moved, I've traded it, except for options. I have literally never traded an option in my entire life, or that you should be using them is to hedge against a very large position, and it's a different type of style of trading in my opinion. If you're trading options, you're probably going to lose a whole lot of money, so please be careful, folks, especially if you're listening to Jason Bond. That guy is just trying to get your money, folks, and you gotta have to be really careful. Don't trade options. Do yourself a favor, skip on the options section. All right, if you need to use this, and I get the, let me talk about this though. I know why you want to trade an option. You want to trade an option because you can use a small account size and it's leveraged. Listen, that's what you're doing here in futures. Listen to me. Don't trade options when you can trade futures. Even if you're trading a CFD on a future in another country, if you can't get access to the futures market here in the United States, do yourself the favor. Skip that, go to futures. You're going to have leverage anyhow. Use a small size account and then, try to trade a system like this. But now, full swing over into stocks. Stocks, sure. Look, I remember back in the day creating watch lists every day. I used to create my bull list, I created a bear list, and I created a gap list. Those are my 3 lists I created every day, okay? Thousands of stocks out there. doing the filter. I use Trade Ideas. They had that back in the day. You know, everybody thinks right now, Trade Ideas, it's you know, it's an algorithm. But yeah, whatever. It's a filter. That's nothing, you know, but people make a big deal about it because they can find things and little patterns that show up right now. Okay, that's great. Chasing bars, not my favorite thing to do. I don't recommend doing that. And get off of minute charts. Although I'm going to show you guys here with stocks here tonight that even if you put our algos on, if you still have to stick with minute bars, or you just swear up and down by minute bars, if you use the algorithmic system to show you some great entries using the confluence of harmonics plus the Fibeli system, along with our MACV, you know, J-hook, we have such a powerful suite. Let's get into stocks. You guys can clearly see this is stocks right here, right? Everybody gets that this is not a future. Those of you guys who are just tuning in are like, why does Vinny have Apple on his screen? Well, this is one of my other VMs out here, and yes, you can trade this on stocks. All right, you can. Let's choose another symbol here. Just want to show you guys our system working on other environments. This blue dot here, wow. I mean, blue dot into the golden ropes, that's one of our favorites. Look, it works on stocks too, folks. If you bought Apple right there, that's a big ride. Now again, we're probably going to exit here, but if I'm looking, like you guys tuned into last night's video, how do we use the dots on a blue dot? Can I take a single blue dot in the direction of the long trend? Absolutely. What are we looking at up here for the tide? Tide is rising. Can I take this on the wave? You bet your tail I can, right? Go watch yesterday's video if you don't know what that is. Blue dot, one of our most powerful dots with all of the confluence in this. This is 7 to 15 points of confluence minimum for the blue dot, pushing us all the way up and in. And again, we exit on the opposing dot color. Now, did another dot color show up in here or not? I'm not real sure, but remember, the rules for that exit code are exit half at a different color dot. If we go from blue into a red, then I'm killing half my position first. If that dot pierces though, I reinitiate that other half of that trade and I keep running with it until a dot holds. That is opposing. This one here, final spot scenario, we finally get one that comes in right here. We finally get the pink dot, so that is a real big run from down here at 172 up to 174.36. Good run there for that, just for that trade there on the Apple. All right. Looks like we got a harmonic coming in here into Apple and up into the top of that Bollinger, showing some red. So Apple may be rolling over here soon. We'll keep an eye on that one. Those of you guys who are trading stocks, go take a peek at some of those. All right. Let's see it on some others. Let's go change instrument real quick. Just want to show a few examples here on stocks for those of you guys who are just hard set on taking those on stocks. But see how well the algorithms also work. And this is all about those pattern confluence entries. Oh, Google's taking a while to load. Okay, well that's loading up. You guys get the point though. I just wanted to make an example there for those of you guys who've been coming in answering one of those questions. Can you use the algo system on stocks? So if you guys have, stock friends and they're, struggling, look, narrow your universe. I tell everybody, look, narrow your surf down to 7 or 8 stocks that you trade, and then trade them both directions and stop trying to Momo chase all the time, all right? And trying to gap chase. All right, if that's not working for you, most of the time I'm telling you it's not going to in the long run. Most of the time, especially if you're following these guys who are, charging you $4 to $5 grand a year. We're trading Jason Bond, and for that, you should be getting something more than somebody telling you how to chase a bar. And again, you get our entire algorithmic package, the entire mentorship program and whatnot for literally less than what it costs you to get in and for a year with those guys. And again, I want to see you guys succeed. That's my whole goal in life. That's the legend and legacy I'm leaving behind, folks. All right. So here is what most of you guys, erase all that stock stuff. All right. I don't think that thing loaded. There we go. So here's Google. Just want to show you guys examples that, yes, if you have a data feed connected up, I've got a kinetic data feed for this. You can use TD Ameritrade to connect. You have to use the 32-bit version of NinjaTrader if you're using TD Ameritrade's connection, and you have to do it on minute bars, which is fine. I'll show you guys that in another video. I'm not going to do that tonight, but You can change this to minute and daily bars. Here are daily bars coming in, and of course all my rules over here on the left. Let's take a peek at these real quick. I wouldn't say they're all my rules, but this is a great place to start. I just tried to load this up. If you are starting out from scratch and you want to learn our stuff, all of these little things are things that you will hear me say in the room. All right, kind of coming down this list. Vinny's order of operations, that is number 1 on the list. Confluence strategies, morning breakouts, sit on hands between 10:10 and 10:30. 2 ATM strategies, big and small, double dot strategy, MACV, J hook, harmonic, Fibonacci, D127, 2 finger salute, batwing, beehive, Bollinger double, how to trade the perfect wedge. If you don't know all those things that I just mentioned, that's just getting to the first quarter of that list there. Go down that list. This is, as you install the ALGOBOX, it comes out of the box with this. This is a little hidden gem back behind. Again, your screen is going to look like this. If you want to know where that is, there's a chart behind these 2 charts on the left. You click right here in the middle. Bam. Here are all of those. So go through some of that Ripple that I wanted to tell you guys about. Again, don't be confused by this saying Ripple right here. That is not Ripple coin. I almost wish I could, change that, but look, we've been doing this for years. Tide, wave, Ripple. Okay, this has to do with water. Okay, Tide, wave, and Ripple. Hope you guys get that. At the top left, we should see Tide right here. So we want to go with the direction of the tide. We want to be looking for a trade based on the wave, and of course, we're entering on the Ripple. Okay. All right, so what was the next thing we want to talk about here? How would I take that bigger trade? So people have been talking about, I am targeting, I usually get a 10 and a 15 and a runner. Okay, that's kind of my standard set of what I do, but some people think, oh, well, that's the only way to trade this. Vinny, I take bigger trades. I had this, John Sue was in here from another trade room the other day, and he's asking questions about it, and he says he wants to take a 100-tick trade. He claims that he can get 100 ticks every day, and literally a 100-tick move. Now I was like, oh, 100 ticks, okay, 10 up, 10 down, 10 times, okay. No, he literally meant he wants a 100-tick range. I'm like, I think he might be a little new, so John, don't be offended when you come back and watch this later, but hey, more power to you, man. If you can figure out how to get a 100-tick move out of gold, he said out of crude every day. Hey, congratulations. Okay, he's been doing this for a year, supposedly, actually less. He said he started last May. Hey, more power to him. I hope that works for him. But he asked, how would I take a larger trade? Again, I'm not going to guarantee you a 100-tick trade out of this, but let's say that you were waiting for a 100-tick setup. Okay, well then you need to be taking those trades off of the 89 range chart. Okay, it's as simple as this. You move up the range. Okay, what I have here, again, we talked about this yesterday, that sort of my baseline, the lowest entry point that I've got, I take off of this this single area right here, because I don't like to take a lot of heat. So I know that if I get down to my lowest time frame for my entry, if I get one of those setups, I take the absolute least amount of heat with the most amount of opportunity and reward into one of my trade setups, right? So again, I want to, if you guys watched that video from last night, how I use the dots for a dot entry, if I'm going to take that red dot entry for a short, where's my stop going? Right back behind that dot. But I've got, well over 3, 4, 5 R on most of my trades that are coming out of a dot entry, right? Very small stop. Again, if the dot pops, so what? So I take a small stop. But look at the drops that I get off of these. Bam. Shorts favorable, red dot, bam, yes please. Shorts favorable, red dot, bam, yes please. Third one, bam. Now after 3 dots, right, the double dot strategy scenario where I talk about after the third, I am looking for a reverse off of that. Great opportunity. We see up on the top side, I already told you guys, on the mid time frame, we already saw tide would probably rising. I can't tell because my bars are invisible up here, but let's assume that we have a rising tide. And now I get a perfect cipher green here on NQ. Now again, like, are these perfect? No, nothing in our system is perfect. So this is some of the problem with some people who come in here and try to troll us and be like, oh, it's fake, it's a scam. It's not a scam, folks. And I didn't invent harmonics, by the way. All right, I just coded it. Very small stop. Really relative, right? There's your stop at the bottom of that box. If we break down below that box, okay, that's a stop out. But if we go, look at this. This is easily, that's like 10 R off of that move, okay? We had one of those off of ES earlier today. Posted that in S&P 500 room. It was a great move off of harmonic entry. Great stuff. Okay. So now, how would I take a larger trade? Because again, he's talking about that, well, Vinny, I see you take these, 10 and 15 ticks. He thinks that's small. Okay, well, that's to each their own. All right, I have an income-based target. I'm not trying to shoot the moon on every trade or wait for, the biggest trade in the world. Now, I could if that was my style, right? This is where that comes, that whole, different types and personalities. What I want to do is find ideal entry locations. And, I think Midnight was the one who, kind of give him credit for this quote. He had said, look, our job as traders is to literally repetitively buy our contract at a lower price and sell it at a higher price. It doesn't matter how big of a higher price it is, just doing that over and over again, more times than we sell it for less. Okay, that's the way that I kind of look at this. And yes, sometimes we're not going to be able to do that. Sometimes the market's going to just throw us a curveball. Curveballs are going to come. Sometimes we're going to miss, right? The best batting average person in the world still strikes out sometimes, right? He hits a foul ball, like and that's literally the best batter in the world. Okay, same thing. We don't have to, be bat 100% though to win. That's the point. So with a bigger trade, how would I do that? Well, I would just move up. Let me show you guys how I do that. All right, so enough of the talk. So this is a 2 algo, not to be confused with the 2 range. Again, I kind of beat up on the trolls yesterday in that video. Hope you guys understood that. But each one of these bars, from top to bottom, this little indicator right here should show you what the depth of a single bar for a reversal on this is going to be. This is, so 82 to 79s. Let's just round it and say 80 to 82. That's 2 points. 2 times is this 10 each. So that's 20 ticks for a turnaround. All right. And again, these are designed specifically for showing ourselves patterns. All right. But so let's get into how I would do that. Let's increase the size. All right. Now again, this is also going to cause us to have less trade opportunities, right? You can take bigger and less, or you can take more and smaller, right? It's a catch-22. But how would I take the longer trade? Well, I would just increase this. Let's say that I want to double it. I would go to 4s, but I think we already have the 5 range. So let's pop in here and let's do a 10, just for hoops and giggles. Okay, this is pretty big. Yeah, see, there's not a whole lot of data there for the day. But if I wanted to wait for the perfect setups off of a higher time frame, this is all you have to do, folks. With the algo system, here is all you have to do. Just increase the size of the bar. That's it. Everything else stays the same. I know that seems odd, but if you understand fractals, that's all you have to do. Now, again, what's great about one of our systems, look, a lot of these old other indicator packages that are out there, they sell you this indicator that has 5 billion settings on it and whatnot. To me, that's not super helpful either. What I do is give you the entire system, all of my settings, all the things that I set up. And again, if you want to kind of perfect the system for yourself, I tell people all the time, learn to be me first. All right, take those small hits, take those small hits, take those small hits, and then if you want to increase the size and you want to swing for the fences, you want to be Babe Ruth, awesome. Okay, do your thing. But for me, it's sort of like when people want to try to play a song for the first time and learn how to play a guitar and learn a song. Learn how the master played it first. Play it exactly like he played it, and then once you do that, hey, throw in the remix, right? Make the song better. Do it however you want. But I do recommend, kind of learning it the way that it was taught first, and then play it on your own. But literally, you notice that the chart doesn't look much different. In fact, I would have to load more data here to show farther back. But this is what happens when you increase the size. There's less less trades, less trade opportunities. And that's perfectly fine for some folk. If you're like a 1 or 2 trade per day person, just bump that size up. Thanks, Richard. Richard said sound advice. Really appreciate that. Appreciate you guys who are participating with us. Yeah. If you got any questions there, pop those over in the chat box. So I would just increase the size. Okay. That's just for my default entry. So that's to answer John's question, but I want to step one further. How do I personally take the bigger trade even with my smaller time frame entry? So here's actually my recommendation. What I do, okay, I do have 2 sets of candy bars. I start out in the 2s, okay, or algo bars if you have NinjaTrader 8. Again, we are rebranding those because people don't get my sense of humor, and the whole candy bars, you know, makes things easier, make things sweeter, taking candy from a baby, all the little analogies that I put into candy bars. I've always thought that was pretty cool, but I get it. Not everybody is geeky and nerdy as I am, and you know, clearly not as cool as I am. So we're gonna rebrand those to algo bars. So the next version of this will be, those will be called the algo bars, but for now, candy bars for NinjaTrader 7, and of course that's up here if you are confused. If you have questions on that though, pop them over in the Discord chat. Myself, Curtis, or one of the moderators get that answered for you. So how do I ride a bigger trade? Well, pretty easy on that. Again, I'm a multi-contract trader, okay? So again, if you are a smaller contract trader, I tell you guys in the mentorship program, in videos, you know, like 1 through 4, you are going to hear things like, don't take anything unless you have a larger king size entry. Well, what does that mean? We're always projecting out forward. Now, again, I'm not gonna go into all the details of how I use each one of those, but I'm gonna show you one real quick. So I'm gonna measure the harmonic distance from the most recent harmonic. So here is the most recent harmonic inside here, and I'm going to measure this one out. Okay, so let's see where things fall on here. I usually want to get confluence with that, so that red dot falls nicely on the small. I really don't have anything here on the medium, don't have anything here on the large. Now right here in the middle of what we kind of call the large to king size zone, and you're going to learn how to use this, but what I want to do is now have confluence into that area. So how would I do that? So now I also want to get a another measurement besides that one. So let's catch the actual drop down draw of the big guy here that showed up. Oops, wrong button. F10. All right, we got a pretty far projection out there, but let's go off of this one, see what we get here. Look at this one. So this one lines up very nicely. So if I get this drop down leg from here to here, I get 2 points of turn. In this one, there are 2 that are on top of each other. Now again, I usually tell you guys yellow and blue make green. You're gonna learn this in, so you see how these lines are moving here? So what I want is, I'm catching the measurement here, and now what I want is the place where it crosses over. I hope you guys can see this here. If I maybe zoom in, you see how these, yeah, now you can see it for sure. See how these 2 cross over? What I usually want is yellow and blue make green. So I want like a, you know, something like this. Okay. So those, we kind of say, so yellow and blue make green, if you remember the old Ziploc commercials back in the day. All right, so we want to put those together. If those happen in this location, this is confluence, and I want to take an entry point right after one of these so that I know that I also have time on my side. You guys follow that? If you guys get that, what I just said there, with that confluence in the timeline, type me a 1. If you don't, type a 2, ask a question over in the chat box. You're gonna learn other ways to use that, particularly on the Darvas boxes if you are new to measuring formations. Okay, but Darvas box is a good way to kind of, it's the cheater. I kind of call it the cheater because it's real easy. But make sure, again, don't just count every Darvas box. Make sure you pay attention to that in the training where I say you're looking for symmetrical or Darvas boxes that are relative to one another, like a 1 and a 1.5, a 1 and a 1.3 kind of scenario, right? They can't be just completely crazy in different sizes. All right, you guys get it. Awesome. We got some smart folks around here. So obviously in my training during the daytime, you'll see me do this. Oops. That's what happens. I got a new keyboard and I haven't rebound all my keys. All right, so old keys. So I would draw this in the room ahead of time, not, you know, I know this is, you know, oh, it's easy in hindsight, but no, I would literally have drawn this because I've drawn these 2 locations. I'd wait for this crossover point, and now I'm just waiting for an entry. Boom, all of a sudden this shows up, PRZ. Now again, with the PRZs, this would have already been showing me gold, right? I already know this is coming, with our system. Our system is already showing me the PRZ box. If you don't know about that, remember I went over this last night. So make sure you go watch part 1. This is part 2 of our series. So make sure you go check out part 1 if you missed out on that yesterday. The PRZ would already be showing me, so I'd be waiting for it. I would stalk that trade. Bam. Now I'm getting in, and where's my stop? My stop is right down here. Okay. So my stop goes below that box. Now again, I also taught you guys my technique last night. Don't actually set your stop right there unless you want your stops hunted. Set a default of about 20 to 25. Again, that's sort of a fail safe if the market just goes absolutely, completely obliteratingly nuts. But you want that mental stop right there, and you close it out yourself so you're not getting stop hunted. But make sure, again, you are the author of your own destiny, and you close out your trade yourself. Don't let the market close you out. Don't let the market come to you. Don't move your stop, okay? But don't set it there for them to come kill either. And again, if you're building a position like I do, you'll notice I never put all my stops together in the same place, right? Keep them separated. Don't stack them. That's a mistake. Again, even my algos, I have them go through a loop when they enter into larger trades. They go ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. All right, that's how you enter in to trades, and you learn that in the Platinum Crew setup, all right? Okay, so hopefully that is helpful. That is how we use the ALGOBOX tools, part of how we get that timing and things. Now again, if you just took this all by itself, I get it, that's fine, but here's where people make the mistake, okay? Listen to me. This is the time to pay attention. This is that whole, look at me. All you people who go install the ALGOBOX, start talking about repaints. Again, I went through this last night. I already went on my whole rant. I'm gonna get off my soapbox after this one. I'm not gonna talk about it again. But the whole repaint scenario where you grab my tools and you think you know how to use them. It's like a carpenter. You go in there like, oh, hey, I can be a carpenter, because carpenter's like, oh, here you go. Here's my garage. You can have all my tools. It doesn't mean squat if the carpenter hasn't taught you how to use them. All right, you need to learn how to use them, see how they use them, and don't come in here and be like, well, Vinny, I watched this one trade when you did this thing, and there's that one. This one time, we've got 3 years of recordings out here, folks. If somebody comes in and makes a judgment call off of one trade or one scenario where, oh shoot, like crude oil inventories number came out, or I still remember the day that I'm in the middle of a crude trade and OPEC goes and does something crazy and the market just goes something stupid. I take some big hit. Everybody's like, oh, look at that, you suck. You're a terrible trader. Look, we are risky people. That's what we do. All right, for our trades, you know, we are risk managers, and we're just trying to manage the risk reward. Now, you know, look, I always learn. That's the other thing too about you guys who, you know, keep thinking all these references to, oh, I saw 3 years ago you added to this one trade, you know, and you lost $8 grand on it, and all. Okay, so what? I make 4K a day on average. What's the point? All right, it doesn't matter. However, let's say for a minute that, yes, I wouldn't want to do that, wouldn't want to take that. Y'all realize that I also increase how well I trade on a daily basis in here? I'm in here with you guys all the time. You think I just stopped at some point and like I don't get any better? I'm constantly getting better. And what's awesome now, I have noticed that I am actually getting into more confident trades now because I also have the harmonic pack included into our stuff. So when I get a harmonics plus a dots plus a timing, y'all, this is a killer system. What's up with the optimizations? What is part of our edge from an optimization standpoint in here with the algorithmic system? This is something, optimization settings. Here we go. All right, now I added ZB recently because somebody came and asked. Oops, man, I think I'm typing in it. Okay, I was typing in that. All right, so I know this is a little bit dark. I do everything in here dark, save my eyes. Okay, so everything, I try not to stare into any white. It's from the eye doctor himself. He's told me, you know, just turn all the stuff down, all the colors. Just basically take the white out, take the blue levels down. You're good to go. All right, so this is the optimization that I put out on a weekly or daily, depending on if, again, I use my own judgment and discretion based on the VIX, whether or not we need to change this. Hopefully that zoom makes that look real nasty, doesn't it? Okay, I'm trying to zoom in here so you guys can read this a little better. But again, you guys get a full resolution image of this that I post at the beginning of the week for sure, and then sometimes multiple times during the week if we have to re-optimize. But this grid gives us a lot of information about what we're doing with our trade, okay? This is a section that could be used by itself. This is a section that can be used kind of by itself. And this section can kind of be a section that used by itself. Okay, we got kind of 3 sections here. Understand what goes on with each one of these. Okay, far left over here. So each line is per instrument that we're trading. All right, 6E, 6J, crude, ES, gold, NASDAQ, Rusty, Dow. ZB is not one I'm trading, but I put this on for somebody the other day because they wanted to see what kind of results or what the stops and targets should be for something and how long. I think this average trade though was like something really big, like 240 minutes. So again, I'm looking for trades that are going to be 20 to 40 minutes. All right, and again, I'd take a brief glance at this and make sure that this is somewhere where I want it. These are some of my favorites right here. Let's look at the NASDAQ. Oof, 2 minutes. So see this? This is why I hadn't been trading the NASDAQ very much, because this is a little bit too fast. This tells me that the NASDAQ is still kind of in nuts mode. All right. Put this one in yellow right here. You see this? NASDAQ, 2 minutes for average time for that trade. Yikes. And again, for what? What is that trade? What is that supposed to be for? That is for this stop setup with these targets. Long side, short side, telling us what's working best. All right. Top side, long side, short side. Okay. Now we can actually adjust these if you're for some of you folks who are, trying to play right off of the stats. You should adjust your ATMs based on this right here. You have 2 ATMs, a big one, a small one. Set each one of them to this. If you're a single instrument person, you should actually really hone in on just one line here. All right. We got people like Midnight who trades just the NASDAQ. He should be focused in on this line right here. How fast is his trade going to be? He should be expecting this. And if it doesn't get this in that 2.5 minutes, then okay, we might need to think about what's going on with that trade. All right. So what's the MAE? So $58.73. That's for one single contract, right? So what is that? That's about 10 ticks of heat. All right, 10-ish, 11. All right, technically 11. So where do I want my stop for an MAE? I really want to close out about 12 or 13 ticks, right? You guys following this? Are you guys understanding how we use stats in our system? If you guys understand the stats, give me a 1. If you don't understand the stats that I'm talking about, type a 2 so I know how much I want to reiterate, because again, I'm trying to be very, very clear about what we're doing here, because I want you guys to have the absolute best chance of success in this, because again, it's the 90-90-90 rule, folks. If you don't know 90-90-90, it says that 90% of traders lose 90% of their money in 90 days or less getting into this. And again, that coming from a person who started out in this industry, knowing what kind of crap that's out there, that got hammered myself, and until I got behind real traders in prop firms, I would not have been able to get where we got here now. But don't have that happen to you. Use the stats. All right, use the stats. They're helpful. All right, and there's some other details on this chart, but these are the ones that I really want you guys to focus in on. If you're a single contract, I'm sorry, not single contract, but you can if you're a single contract, but if you're a single instrument trader, look on this list, find out what your settings should be for that day, and then pay attention specifically. When I tell you guys all the time, what do you need to load on your charts? So remember, a lot of people, and they fail in this, is you need to know, yeah, but what time frame is in play, right? That is the magic answer, magic question. In fact, people ask all kinds of terrible questions that are not pertinent, but I'll tell you that this is the best question that there is for a trader. What time frame for the strategy we're running is in play right now? What time frame is in play for our strategy or strategies? What is the best right now? Not yesterday, not looking in hindsight at my chart. Right now, what is it going to be? That's what this is. And again, I won't get into the optimization process. We got plenty of videos on that. I'm sure we'll do one of those in this series that we're doing here. This is series 1 through 7, and this is part 2. Make sure, again, if you are just catching up, just tuning in with us, we are doing this live. Make sure that you catch up and watch yesterday's part 1. Today is part 2. All right, we'll have 7 of these. And we'll talk about the optimization. But these kick out. So what does this mean, this period? This is range bars. I do not ever use time bars. Now again, if you're using time bars and you're using TD Ameritrade and that's all you have, you're using Thinkorswim, they don't have range bars, not real ones, then fine. Use your time bars, put our stuff on your charts, and get as close as you can. You're gonna have to go and now look at a separate thing called the ATR, okay? Look at the ATR for this value and find what time range it is, okay? You guys follow it. This is probably the most confusing thing I've said probably all day. All right. If you don't have a range bar, listen to me. If you are stuck on time bars and you need to know what bar, right, your red question is, what bar should I be using? Okay, if this is a bar, okay, and you only have time, the answer is ATR, and you need to match them up with what I post right here. Okay, so if Vinny is posted for crude, it should be an 18 range bar. Then you need to go find what is the closest 18 ATR in minutes. You guys follow that? So if the ATR for the 15 minute, all right, let's talk about 15M here. Oof, it's terrible. New color. All right, so 15-minute bar. If the ATR for that is, I don't know, 16, 17, that's pretty much as close as you're gonna get, all right? So maybe try the 14, right? 14-minute, and see if you can get something that has an ATR of exactly 18. Are you guys catching this? Do you guys get it? Okay, again, I try to do this the easy way, all right? I do this with just range bars, so you know. Again, everything we're trying to do here is predict the next bar, okay? If you can predict the next bar, you can make, you know, as much money as you want if you could do that over and over and over again. Our point is, during that daytime, what bar are you going to be able to predict? If you can look at a range bar and know that the next bar is going to be green or red, that's all that matters. All right? Yeah, teach you guys how to trade a bar at a time. Now, what bar? All right? Well, higher time frame bars, tide, wave, then we enter on the ripple, the least amount of heat, the maximum amount of reward. That is how we roll. All right, folks, that's it. I have bored you guys to tear. I am signing off right here. Thanks for hanging out, folks. For me, Pippi, Robbie, Lunchbot, Mod Squad, Curtis G, thanks for hanging out for part 2. I'm sending out that big H-Town. See ya.
What you made me